Welcome to this online lecture. In this lecture we'll be going through Surah Nasr and we'll be breaking down each of the verses. So to start off with a bit of to give you a bit of context for this surah is actually surah number 110 in the Quran. It's the 110th surah in the Quran. And it's more so towards the end of the Quran. So it's a really short surah. It's only 3 verses in length, okay? Only 3 verses in length. And the only thing that's tricky that many people find about the surah is that it has a lot of pronunciation rules. And what I want to say is it is normal for you to feel frustrated and feel like you're not getting anywhere when you're reciting these surahs, because it's normal to forget how to recite these parts of these verses. Because the rules, again, as I stress so many times in our classes, are very complex when it comes to the tajweed. But let's start with the first verse, and before I start, I'm going to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Because we are dealing with the Quran, and again, we always start with Bismillah before we do anything. So let me just start with by reciting the first verse, and I'll repeat that one more time slowly. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ. Okay, let me say that slowly. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ. Okay, so there are a couple of things to note here. First of all, you have a TH sound, and what kind of sound do you think that the TH sound makes in here? Eitha, all right? It's not making an etha as in tooth, okay? It's only making the TH sound as in the English word the, okay? That's very important. That's why I'm underlining it so many times, many people actually get confused with this because they forget that it's not a letter tha, okay? It is not a letter tha. It's not a letter, whoops. I meant to cross that out. It's not a letter tha, and it's not a letter dha, okay? Even though the letter dha does make that th kind of sound, it makes a really strong th sound. It makes a dha sound, okay? So instead of, if there's the letter dha there, then you're saying idha, okay? And that's not right. So you're actually going to be using the letter dhal, right? Because the letter dhal makes that the sound, as in the English word the, okay? Next rule is the rul. Now, it is very tempting for you to actually say rule, but when you look over here, there's only an R, U, and L. So that's going to make a rul sound. Okay, that's exactly the way I'm saying it right now is exactly how you have to say it. So that's rul. Law. We've seen English words. So again, in my previous online lectures, in my previous PowerPoint slides, I've covered this one slide that gives you the intro or context of learning surahs. And those are the important rules to keep in mind, is always look for that degree of familiarity with the verses. So whatever words sound the same, whichever words sound different. So I see an English word that is law here, and exactly how it's spelt in English in this verse is exactly how you say it right now. So it's law, okay? It's said exactly how it's spelled. So it's Nasrullahi wal Fath. And again, you see he. But again, we decide to omit the one E based on class today, because in your perspective, H and E make the he sound, okay? So I can in fact cross that out over here, because that corresponds with the notes, because there is the handout that you filled out today corresponds to what I'm doing right now. And yes, exactly. It's just like saying he. Lastly, you have fat, okay? So lastly, you have fat here. Many people get confused with this as well because they think I'm saying fadh, all right? But that's not right, because the dash over here is actually going to separate the T consonant sound from the H consonant sound. So you're saying, it's almost like you're saying fat, but you're saying fat. So in this case, fat may be a U instead of an A, but you can change that in your notes if you feel that makes sense. As long as it's making that fat sound, okay? So that is verse 1. Verse 2, let's try that. Wara aitan nasa yadkhuluna. Okay, let me say that one more time slowly. Whoops. Wara aitan nasa yadkhuluna. Okay? وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ. So first of all, you have the ait. Alright, the ait sound over here. This sound is actually as if you're screaming ai, right? Ai. Aitan. Ait. Okay? Now, we agreed in class that we would omit this A, get rid of the A, and we just have an I, okay? So the I and letter T, these two would make the ite sound in your perspective, if I remember correctly. So you can, whatever works for you as long as it's making that ite sound, okay? And then you have aitan over here. So this is another tricky one here, aitan as a whole. Because you're not saying aiton, okay? The T-W-N would make the ton sound, or you could think of it as T-O-O-N, making the ton sound. So it's just making the sound aitan, not aiton, okay? And then next you have yad. The reason why I have a star beside yad is because the D over here, the letter D, will be having a bouncing effect, okay? So it has an audible bouncing effect. You may, when you hear this, the bouncing effect, you may think, okay, maybe there's an A after the D when I'm saying it. Because if instead of saying yad, if I say yada, it looks like I'm saying yada, right? But no, you're not adding an A, you're just bouncing the D. Yada. You just make a quick bouncing sound. Yada. You don't need to stretch it longer and say yada khuluna, okay? So lastly, you have NASA. So yes, this is exactly like you're reading the NASA acronym. Just to give you a bit of an analogy, something to help you remember how to say NASA, okay? But remember, if you see a double A, the reason why I put a double A here is because you stretch this just a little bit. This may indicate a letter alif madda, okay? And I'll show you this when we get to the Arabic portion of the surah. But in general, let me read this verse one more time because it is a very complicated verse. وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ. Okay? That is verse 2, part 1. Now let's do verse 2, part 2, which isn't so bad. So let's do that. فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. Let me say that slowly. فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. Okay? So waja is actually, I would consider that as one term, one sort of translation term, because of the dash, right? You're saying the wa and the ja together. Waja. Okay? So the fee, we see that obviously in English that is a monetary kind of term dealing with money. So that is an English word actually that you see in here. So again, you're just looking for patterns, looking for that degree of familiarity, and we see that it's said exactly how it is spelled in English. Fi, right? Fi di nillahi. The he, so again, we could omit, get rid of one E in the he, so that makes the he sound. So you know that this makes the he sound, okay? And the LA would make the la sound. It's not going to be la, as in la. It's going to be la, okay? Fi di nillahi, nillah, okay? Lahi afwaja. So that is verse 2, part 1, part 2. Now we're going to go to verse 3. Okay, this is the second last part of the online lecture. Let's read this. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. Okay, this was a mouthful. Let me break this up slowly. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. So a lot of things we have to know here. First of all, fa. The fa, you may think maybe you could put an fu to make that fa sound, but it's making the fa sound, okay? The bih, the reason why I put a star beside bih is because the h would actually make a strong h sound. So if I recite this verse one more time, I'm actually going to say fasabbih bihamdi rabbika wastaghfir. So notice for this H, I made a loud, audible H consonant sound, right? And you may think of it from the throat, so that's pretty much what it is. So again, it makes a strong H sound from the throat. Next, you have repetitive double E vowels, right? So you have the B here, and you have a D over here, and then you have B again. Okay, you see a bit of a pattern over there, so not too new. That's what was covered in the previous verses. And then T-U-G-H. So what kind of sound, what kind of consonant digraph sound is this over here I'm underlining? A GH sound, right? That is actually the sound from the letter ghain, right? Letter ghain. That is the consonant digraph for that. Okay? So that is this verse, and I'm going to repeat this verse one more time because it is very confusing. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ. Alright? And again, was, it's exactly how you say it in English. W-U-S, was. Okay? Lastly, the last verse is, and I don't really have many notes because it is very similar to the previous verse. The rules are all the same. They just build off of one another. And that is innahu kana tawwaba. Alright? Let me say that slowly. Innahu kana tawwaba. So that one, maybe we can point some stuff out. I'll underline some stuff. Maybe I'll do this in a green. So you have inna. Okay, makes sense. You have a bouncing with the letter N. So you're saying inna. That's treating this as one whole term. Okay. Who, okay, we already know it makes a H-double-O, makes a oo sound. Kana. So again, why do I have two A's over here? And then what the answer that should be popping in your head is, I'm going to stretch this out for a bit. Okay. Innahu kana. So again, this is one whole term again, indicated by the dashes. The dashes just mean that the word is continued to something else. It's part of the pronunciation. And then tawwaba. So taw, it's not, what the mistake many people make is they think it's talwaba, like a T-A-L-W-A, but it's tawwaba, okay? So tawwaba. And again, there's a stretch over here again and these two A's there. So that concludes this online lecture, and in the next class we're going to be reviewing verses 2 and 3, parts 1. But thank you for your attention and have a good weekend.